At the start of the film, a huge drilling machine, operated by a businessman named Victor, is attempting to drill to the Earth's core. During this process, a commotion arises, prompting a scientist to warn Victor to stop immediately to avoid destroying the entire city. However, Victor ignores the warning. Fortunately, the machine halts because it requires more power to drill deeper. This power can only be provided by a device called the nanocatalyst, which Victor does not currently possess. Consequently, Victor pauses the project and instructs his team to find the nanocatalyst, a powerful device designed by his scientist, who hid it to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. Meanwhile, two employees of Victor discover an old car in his garage and decide to secretly sell it. On the other hand, we are introduced to Donald, a college student with a passion for cars. His wealthy friend Max allows Donald to drive his new car, but Donald feels humiliated when Max treats him like a chauffeur, especially in front of Natasha, a girl Donald likes. That night, Donald searches for cars online but finds them too expensive. The next morning, on his birthday, Donald's father surprises him with a car, which turns out to be the same old car sold by Victor's employees. Though disappointed, Donald doesn't want to upset his father and decides to take the car to college. This setup introduces the main characters and sets the stage for the unfolding story, combining elements of high-stakes drilling, hidden advanced technology, and personal drama. Knowing that taking the old car to college would make him the target of ridicule, Donald decided to park it at the bus stop and take the bus instead. However, while helping an elderly man, he missed his bus and arrived late to college. Upon reaching, he discovered that today was an important day, as Victor, the city's influential businessman, was there to give a lecture. Donald entered the class and apologized, explaining that he was late because he was helping someone at the bus stop. Hearing this, Victor challenged the students by saying, "If I offered $100,000 to anyone who could help someone and still arrive on time, who would take the challenge?" All hands were raised, except for Donald's. Victor questioned Donald, who responded, "If I promise never to help anyone again, will you give me the $100,000 now?" Surprised by Donald's question, Victor angrily took out a bundle of $100,000 and stormed out of the class. Realizing Victor's anger, Donald followed him. During their conversation, Donald saw Max and Natasha driving away in Max's expensive car. Noticing this, Victor told Donald, "With this money, you could buy a car like that and impress her too. But let me tell you something. I started from nothing. I began making money by selling flowers." As soon as Victor finished, his assistant took back the money. Inspired by Victor's words, Donald decided to start a flower delivery business using his old car. Despite his efforts, Donald faced numerous challenges in his flower delivery business. Traffic often caused delays, resulting in unhappy customers and meager earnings. Meanwhile, Victor continued his search for the nanocatalyst within his company. He discovered from a company map that the nanocatalyst had been hidden in a car by his scientist, which had been sold by his employees. Victor punished the employees responsible for selling the car and assigned his trusted man, Brian, to locate it. At the same time, Donald and his father were out delivering flowers when Victor's men started tailing Donald's car, suspecting the nanocatalyst might be inside. Nearby, a thief snatched a girl's handbag and fled. Unaware that they were being followed, Donald's father stopped the car to help the girl, caught the thief, and retrieved her bag. Donald, annoyed by his father's actions, scolded him for getting involved in others' problems. Hurt by Donald's criticism, his father left the car. As Donald drove on, he noticed they were being followed and assumed it was the thief's gang seeking revenge. Panicked, he accidentally pressed a button in the car, causing it to fly. Terrified by this unexpected feature, Donald struggled to control the car, which flew like a jet. Victor's men observed this and reported back to him. Victor realized that the car must contain the nanocatalyst and decided he could make better use of it. He ordered his men to retrieve the car and extract the nanocatalyst. Amidst the chaos, Donald's car crashed into a building. Frightened, Donald abandoned the car and fled. Later, he found an old audio recording and a picture in the car. Listening to the recording, Donald learned the names of 3 scientists involved with the nanocatalyst. The scientists were Michael, Maya, and Peter. Together, they had made the car capable of flying using the nanocatalyst. Donald searched online and discovered that Peter and Maya were married. Posing as a journalist, he visited their home to interview them. During the conversation, he brought up the topic of the car. The scientists revealed that the car contained 2 rockets and the nanocatalyst. This catalyst transformed the car's fuel into nanofuel, enabling it to fly. Maya gave Donald the car's manual, which she had written herself, and explained that even if the nanocatalyst were removed, the car had enough stored nanofuel to fly for half an hour. Reassured that the car was safe, Donald returned to it and used Maya's manual to learn how to fly the car. This new flying capability revolutionized his life. Traffic was no longer an issue, and he could deliver flowers on time, significantly boosting his business and income. With his newfound earnings, he took Natasha out for dinner, and she enjoyed spending time with him, revealing that she had started to like him too. At the fancy restaurant, Donald encountered Victor and thanked him, explaining that his advice had led to the success of his flower delivery business. Donald mentioned that he was earning enough money to soon buy a new car. Meanwhile, Victor's men, still searching for the car, were following Donald's dad and had enlisted the thief who had previously stolen the girl's handbag. The thief was enlisted to identify if Donald's dad was the man with the flying car. However, when he saw Donald's dad, he lied, denying that he was the one who had beaten him. The thief wanted revenge, so he stabbed Donald's dad and fled. Donald's dad's condition deteriorated rapidly. A passing woman tried to help but needed to get to the road to find assistance. Coincidentally, Donald was on that road. The woman pleaded with him, saying a man was dying and needed help. Angry and indifferent, Donald dismissed her, telling her to call for rescue services and refusing to help. Moments later, Donald realized his mistake when he saw the ambulance arrive and recognized the injured man as his father. Overwhelmed with regret, he vowed never to refuse help of anyone again. Taking on all household responsibilities, he promised to make amends. Using his flying car, Donald began helping everyone he could, stopping thefts in the city and transporting people to the hospital in emergencies. Donald saved lives not only by stopping thefts, but also by rescuing people from buildings. He became a superhero known as Black Lightning, thanks to his flying car. His heroic deeds were covered extensively in the news, and no one knew his real identity. This news reached Victor, who began tracking Black Lightning. Meanwhile, Peter and Maya realized that Black Lightning was actually Donald, the young man who had come to interview them about the car. Inspired by Donald's actions, Peter devised a bold plan. He contacted his old scientist colleagues and remarked on Black Lightning's impressive efforts in combating crime. Peter pointed out that while Donald was making a significant impact, he couldn't save the entire city on his own. Peter proposed that if the police had access to such flying cars, crime could be reduced more effectively and swiftly. He expressed his desire to produce more nano-catalysts to create additional flying cars. With this goal in mind, Peter, Maya, and their third scientist colleague approached Victor to start up the production of more nano-catalysts. Donald received an order from Max to deliver flowers to Natasha. When he arrived, Natasha was delighted to see him. They talked for a while, and Natasha brought up Black Lightning. She said, "I think something bad must have happened to Black Lightning, which is why he is always ready to help everyone and never reveals his identity. I wish I could marry him and help him overcome his problems." Donald listened quietly, but couldn't reveal that he was Black Lightning. As Donald was about to leave, he noticed a massive block of ice on a building that was about to fall on Natasha. To save her, he quickly flew his car into the air and maneuvered it to break the ice block, preventing it from falling on her. As Donald turned the car to break the block of ice, the flowers he had brought fell to the ground. Natasha saw the flowers and noticed Max's name on them. Mistakenly, she concluded that Max must be Black Lightning. Frightened and overwhelmed, Natasha thought Max was her hero and proposed to him. Max, realizing the misunderstanding, chose not to correct her and took all the credit for being Black Lightning. He also told Natasha not to tell anyone about his secret identity. Back at home, Donald was preparing for a New Year celebration, having invited Natasha over. He confided in his mom, expressing his intention to propose to Natasha. Hearing this, his mom smiled, supportive of his plans. Donald's mom was very happy and gave him a diamond pendant. After this, the scene shifts to Victor's science lab, where all the scientists were gathered for a meeting. During the meeting, a scientist named Michael overheard the discussions and realized that Victor's intentions were still not good. The first scientist had previously warned against making nanocatalysts due to Victor's malevolent intentions. However, this time, Victor devised a new strategy. He assured the scientists that his motives were pure and convinced them to proceed with the creation of more nanocatalysts. Michael, though wary, saw that Victor was determined to move forward with the production. Seems like you want to emphasize the repetitive action of Victor making a move to create nanocatalysts. Here's a structured version of your text. He repeatedly made moves to create nanocatalysts.